Oh, I have some police stories if you want to hear it.
For sure. Good seeing you.
Let me know how the show goes.
Huh? Are you going to be at the club tonight?
I'm going to be in Lincoln Lodge tonight.
Oh, okay.
Unless there's something going on at the club that I don't know about.
I mean, as far as I know, nothing special. It's Sunday. It's either going to be a specialty show or Chicago's best. So, yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, you guys have fun.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah. So they've threatened you, but they haven't like gone through with it.
Yeah. Like I remember, I was walking back home just from a pizza joint. Just had a little cup of beer in my hand, and I used to hang out with like bums all the time. So it's like I knew.
Sorry.
I knew like when the cops confront you about like drinking in public, it's like, what are you drinking? You just pour it out. Nothing. Right. You know, like you just. And I mean, I had the full beer tucked away in my vest anyway. I just had the little cup out. But, you know, we got locked out trying to go to the back of my friend's house. And they thought I was dealing drugs to my friend Sujay. And this was also in the middle of the, like, Ebola bullshit that was going on. So they got real racist about it. And they were just, like, they assumed because Sujay was Indian that he has Ebola. So then I have Ebola. Because
Isn't Ebola from, him. Like, not even that?
Yeah, it's from Africa, for fuck's sake. It's like...
What do you think?
CPD, baby. Geography ain't their strong suit.
Do you think if given a badge, you'd become an asshole? If you gave, for those who can't see, Chris's girlfriend's in the back and she's confirming. Like if they gave you a gun and a badge, would you become an asshole?
I'd really hope that I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always hope for the best and plan for the worst, but I don't know if you can really plan for shit in that. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I play a lot of like role playing video games and stuff like that, and power really doesn't tend to like go to my head. I try to be as fair as possible. Like hell, dude, I'm playing Minecraft right now, and I go out of my way to treat the villagers nicely. I want to make their lives nice. I don't want to imprison them and kill them just because they can't trade the right shit.
That was something when. So when we first met, you were one of the first people that interacted with me at the Laugh Factory. I don't know if you remember. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, it was you and Rachel. What is I have another podcast after this.
Okay.
I've done. Yeah, I have to. We got this podcast called Film Favorites. So my buddy, he's a cinephile, like a real cinephile.
Yeah.
And he made his top 500 favorite films.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a list.
Oh my god. And so I like movies, but I'm not to that level.
Yeah.
So we go. Every episode is 3 movies in descending order. So 500, 499, 498. And then he describes them, and then I have to pick one I haven't seen. And then we watch it, and then we discuss it. And I've learned so much about movies, man.
I like that concept.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's also a great way to just be exposed to shit that you probably never would have been exposed to in the first place.
That was my logic at first.
Yeah.
You know Bill Burr?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really liked how he was into so many things. And doing this was like it was a way to force me out of my comfort zone so I could be better in comedy as a whole thing. But no, man, you were the first person to talk to me, to be nice to me.
No, fair. I mean, I believe in the golden rule. You know, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. So, and I also know what it's like to be like the little nobody's talking to me guy. You know, I get that a lot.
Was that how you were raised? What was you? So you were adopted?
Adopted, only child. I mean, I was always kind of like the loner kid. Like I was always the weird kid, but never the like, ugh, we hate that kid. I was always like the funny weird kid. Leave him alone, but if you do talk to him, he's pretty fucking funny. You know.
It sounds like you were riding the line between popularity and freak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very thin line, and I definitely dance between it on the regular.
It's an enjoyable vibe.
Oh, it is. And then middle school came around, and I was known as like the little like gothic troublemaker, class clown kid.
So when did you find out you were adopted?
Oh, I've always known. So when you are part of that process, like the adoptive, whatever thing, one of the first things that they tell parents is you need to be honest with your children straight up, because you got to think about it like this. I mean, how would you feel if you were 18 years old and all of a sudden your parents told you, hey, we got some shit to drop? You know what I mean? Like, that would fuck you up. That would fuck anybody up. So it's important to tell them right from like cognitive memory, hey, just so you know, we love you, but you did not like come from us. Another family gave you to us. They love you too, but they just couldn't take care of you at that time for X, Y, Z reasons, you know? And I've always respected that. I know my birth family. I'm in contact with them. You know, they're great people, you know?
What, if you don't mind me asking, we can not
Oh, I'm an open book, dude.
Okay. All right. Because I've had some moments where I had to write on the paper and be like, can we just...
very, very little things make me uncomfy. So.
Okay. We'll get there.
Right.
But so they why did they give you up? Was it?
So at the time it was emotional shit, money shit. You know, like I have a half sister who's like a few years younger than me. So like at that time she was in just a much better financial and emotional place to have and keep a child. And there's no personal, like, I don't feel any, like, negative way towards that. I get it. You know, I got that empathy.
Yeah.
You know, again, I was raised right about it. You know, I was able to see it from every angle.
I want to meet your parents. I'm so curious because for someone who is as wacky as you are, there's an outer layer of punk rock, fuck the system, fuck you, but an internal teddy bear almost, like a sweetness.
Yeah.
Were your parents sweet? Were they punk rock? What were they?
My dad was, rest in peace. He was a engineering major, a huge nerd, and also a jock. So he was like the quarterback on the football team at U of I. Fucked up his shoulder. So, like, God, I remember I had to pop that thing in as a kid a few times. That was some nightmare fuel.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
My mom, she was a bit wonky and wacky when I was a kid, admittedly. I mean, I can't blame her, you know, and I've talked to her about it over the years. She was a little abusive when I was a kid, you know.
Verbally, physically?
A little bit of both, you know, a little bit of both.
Gotta mix it up.
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes?
She was just a little bit more, like, mentally unstable at the time, you know, also going through a divorce with my dad and whatnot at, like, 7. So shit was going on with her, lost her parents. She had a rough childhood, so I don't really blame too much on her. Me and her have a great relationship now, but... Yeah, I mean, she is a little loosey-goosey still, but not in like a bad or negative way. I mean, she's really sweet and endearing.
You are the opposite of a sociopath. You've always, so we talked about doing this when I first met you. And I guess I remember. Do you remember anything about me when we first met?
Yeah.
What was your? I'm curious. What was your perception of me?
Well, you were very friendly, but you were also very like shy because I mean, you know, you were observing everyone. You know, that was my take. Was you were just like trying to feel the vibe, pick up who these people are, who am I around, and do I want to talk to them?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. At least that's what I picked up on.
I was, in retrospect, I was in survival mode still. You don't know much where I come from?
I don't know shit.
Okay, so I'm from California, but not LA, not San Diego, not San Francisco. I'm from Riverside, California.
Oh, I know about Riverside. I got plenty of friends from there.
How do they feel about Riverside?
Well, I mean, it's got a huge alt community, or at least it did. You know,
Does
like
it?
especially in like the 90s. Like they had a huge punk, goth, skin, like every kind of scene out there. And when I say skin, I mean like the good boys, not the fucking Nazi skins, the good skins.
That's right. You did a whole. I'm gonna ask you about this later. I have it written down. You did a whole breakdown of the punk rock history, which I want to have clippable here. But yes, I'm from Riverside, and you know, I was a baby in the 90s, so I can't speak on the punk rock scene or anything like that. But
I mean, same here. But I mean, we still have our experiences in it from like the 2000s and shit. So,
well, it was rough to say the least. Very, very, very racist.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a reason why the song "Nazi Punks" Nazi Punks Fuck Off exists.
Yeah.
You know, I mean. Granted, in Jello Biafra's words, it wasn't for like literal Nazis, but like people who were gatekeeping. But I think, at least in today's sphere, it's way more literal. Even if that wasn't the original intent, it is like that's kind of been the adoptive intent now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's insane, dude.
I remember being a kid,
I mean, you got the Proud Boys and shit. It's fucking
yeah. I remember being a kid and learning about Hitler. To the level they would teach us about Hitler. And I remember thinking like, I don't know how you could possibly end up in this situation. Like, you would think as a kid at some point someone would say, hey, whoa, let's
chill the fuck out.
Yeah, what are we doing? Let's take a second and really think about this. And I'm watching it, I mean, here we are. Since Trump, I get it. Since watching the slow destruction of our society in a lot of ways. I'm like, oh, I see how it's not. One day Hitler shows up with the mustache and the hand salute.
Yeah, no, it's a gradual decline. Well, I mean, when they say gradual, I mean, you know, time is very perspective in that instance. Sure. But I mean, yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen in as little as 4 years, as we saw. So I'd say 4 years to almost topple a fucking empire is insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess that's also like what they mean by like, you know, House of Cards. You know, like all it takes is just one little whoop, and then the whole thing collapses, and that almost damn well happened.
Do you think? I mean,
I don't think if the insurrection was successful, quote unquote, in the way that they like wanted it to be, they wouldn't have gotten their way. If anything, that would have further damned them deeper than ever, and actually gotten full like
rejection.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no way. The fact that they're still supported today blows my mind. Like, I just saw a thing on the news last night that Trump's running for 2024 and just had his first, like, public appearance on that front. I'm just like, what? It's like, what? Where's the line? You know what I mean? Like, what do we have to... Apparently, you can do that and get away with it. You really can. If you're rich enough, you can do anything. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And he's not even rich. How many times did he fucking do bankrupt?
I think it's rich enough and confident in what you say.
And have a legit cult.
Yeah, real cult.
Yeah,
I
call Trump and this whole thing the cult of the Fourth Reich. I mean, it really is. Yeah. I mean, like the MAGA hat, in my opinion, is the American modern swastika.
Yeah, it really. So okay, a little bit more about me to give you context of all of the stuff. It is, I'm coming to a place of realizing how bad it is. So where I grew up, everyone was white. My family was one of the earlier families to be integrated back in the East Coast. And so from what I understand, my family's approach to survival was just keep white people calm. Just keep them calm.
Just bring out the cheese platter.
Yeah. Just bring out the cheese. Let's put on Friends. Keep them chill. Right. The way I was raised, like the way I speak, everything about me, not everything about me, let me not say that, but a lot of the ways I was raised was like, just keep people calm. Because if not, it's going to not be good for you.
Yeah.
And
that's a lesson I could have learned.
I don't think that tattoos on the hands help with keeping people calm.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I like it. Your tattoos kind of, to me, connect to my hair. It's a good way to keep people I don't want around me the fuck away from me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like
I also got it so to make sure I never end up in a cubicle.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a way you definitively say, like, I'm not a part of whatever this is. Like, I'd imagine white people don't come up to you and say racist shit unless they do. I
mean, dude. So I'm a German Jew, yeah, and like I was at a party having a conversation just like this, right? And this dude came up to me like an hour, maybe 2 hours later. He's like, "Oh, so I heard you were a kike, huh? You're a real wolf in sheep's clothing, aren't you?" And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've never experienced anything like that before. That was my first time having a slur directed at me, like, you know, that wasn't like faggot or something like that. You know
the classics.
Like, I mean, we grew up in the 90s. That shit, everybody said it, for better or for worse. You know, I'm not justifying it, but it is what it is. But, yeah, you know, it's like, that was the first time I had a slur, like, directed at me, like based on race, something like that. And, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had, like, a few black friends in my past legit say to my face, there's a part of me that hates you because you're white, you know. And I don't know, it's its own interpretation because I understand racism. Like, I understand how that shit boils down and works, you know. And it is a form of racism, but it's also your definition of it.
Yeah, the what is it, the power structure and
So it's like, I get it, but
so to speak on that. Okay, more context and then to speak on that.
Yes, exactly. We keep.
I like it. Like, it's like a Tarantino movie. It's fun.
Yeah, right. Where's the feet?
So I was always like, horrific shit would happen to me.
Yeah.
I the first time I remember getting called a nigger was when I was about 7, and
Jesus,
it was,
dude.
yeah, and it never stopped.
Yeah.
It was. So when I hear like that was the first time you got a racial slur, I was like, oh wow, you're new to the game.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
fresh.
dude, yeah, and that was like when I was like 18, 19.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mind you, I found out I was Jewish too when I was like 18. So.
You didn't even know.
Yeah, I had no idea. Adopted, yada yada yada. So, like, I was in contact with them when I was like 18. So.
So I would get racial stuff. I've been arrested, and my demeanor, my vibe. Even when I was a young, rambunctious kid, I was never like, I wasn't the guy who's gonna throw a brick through your window or cause any level of problems like that. And so being arrested, or I remember one that was really consistent was I would be told, well, Aaron, you're like a good black person.
Oh my God, you're one of the good ones.
You're one of the good ones. I would hear that, and it would be coming from people in my church, in my school, from adults, from kids, everywhere. So, and you're surrounded by that, and it's a weird thing to grapple with, because in one hand, you're like, you're trying to give me a I can tell that this is meant to be nice, but in my gut, I'm like, this feels like a real insult.
Oh yeah.
But you're a kid. I remember I would get told if I was excited about Black History Month, I was being racist. I'm not, like, crazy shit like that. So that and violence, which story after story, I'll probably tell you about it at Laugh Factory, because we don't need to do all this shit here.
Yeah, fair enough.
But so when I was coming to Chicago, I didn't realize this until about a year later. I was still in survival mode. So that shyness and that being quiet, that's not who I am naturally. Like, I'm a verbose guy.
Yeah.
And
you're definitely an extrovert. You know, you're a social butterfly.
Yeah, well, in some ways, it's a whole thing. But it was like I didn't trust anybody. One of the reasons I liked you and Rachel was because you came up to me and interacted, and everyone else was kind of pushing me away. So I was like, all right, well, I don't trust nobody here until I'm given a reason to.
Yeah.
What the fuck there was a point. It was going to come around. No, it was going to come around. God damn it. What was my point? Something about racism. You know?
Yeah, right? Racism bad.
Racism bad. No, but okay, so the punk rock thing.
Yeah.
When did you start getting into punk rock?
Like 12, 13.
Okay.
Like, I got into it early. Like, I remember my friend Scott, he got into it early. I think from his older brother. He started getting into it in like 5th grade. He was listening to like Anti-Flag and Bad Religion. I got to skip a lot of the like, I hate to call them like beginner bands for punk. You know, like
what's
I was
a beginner band.
Like Blink-182. I did listen to Green Day when that came out. I thought, you know, like American Idiot. That was my introduction to like pop punks kind of stuff. But, you know, like bands like that, you know, like Good Charlotte, yada, yada. They're not necessarily like punk bands in any way, shape, or form, but it gets you into that like vibe when you're young, especially, again, in our generation. VH1 was playing that shit every fucking morning, so you couldn't get away from it. But, yeah, no, I went like directly into like Dead Kennedys, and then I was also like huge into goth rock when I was super young too. So like dived straight into like Alien Sex Fiend, Bauhaus, Susie and the Banshees, Switchblade Symphony, shit like that.
What was it? What was the appeal?
I mean, I've always been a dark child, you know? Like, and what I mean by that is, like, I've always been obsessed with death. And so many people, like, raise an eyebrow when I say that. But it's like, when I was a kid, like, I was always obsessed with, like, skulls. And, like, I always asked my dad to, like, draw me skeletons and stuff like that. I was always just, I like the idea of death. I thought it was pretty. You know, like bones and stuff like that. Not like dead people are pretty. Right. But, you know, it was cool to see what makes the robot that is us, like the system. You know what I mean? Like, you're literally looking at the fundamental building blocks that keep the whole goddamn thing together. I thought that was just cool from like a scientific like point of view. So, you know, and macabre beauty. Of course. And like I do think they're like aesthetically just pretty. You know, I got like fucking 20 skulls tattooed on me, so
I get you kind of. So I have an obsession with death as well, but it's more about the legacy left behind from death than the physical part of it.
Yeah.
And the beauty thing, I mean, you see my yin yang, there's a balance to life where life means nothing if there is no death. And so I get you I get you there. Can you dive into what is the beauty of that to you? Can you explain that?
I guess like the best way I can think about it is like if you like dark red, maroon, like velvet curtains in like a dark room with like Victorian shaped like wooden chairs, Like, it's a very certain kind of aesthetical beauty to some people that some people think it's either creepy or repulsed by it. Like, admittedly, the show Wednesday, I have not watched it, so I can't really speak of it, but I know its content, yada, yada. Like, that helps popularize that to an extent. But, like, it's like those kind of children, for example, always exist. Why do you think there's, like, Monster High School dolls? Why do you think there's, like, creepy skull boy toys and stuff like that? It's like there are those kinds of people that just enjoy the, dare I say, darker side of life. But as to like explaining it, I don't know. It's like it's like trying to explain why chocolate's good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It just fucking is, dude. Yeah. You like it or you don't. Some people hate chocolate. Some people fucking love it.
So something like Halloween or Tim Burton movies.
Yeah. Like, I grew up with like Nightmare Before Christmas. I'd never get a fucking tattoo of it, but
feels a little basic. I get you.
It's just too much. It's too much.
Okay. Yeah, I get. There's almost a nature versus nurture argument, and it sounds like it's more nature.
Yeah, dude. My birth mom is a lot like me. Like, she likes a lot of the darker shit. We like a lot of this similar stuff, and that was just a coincidence. So you want to talk about nature versus nurture? Yeah, there's a lot of nature there.
I think that's something else that drew me towards you, that made me like you, was people that are into that. It again is this rough exterior with a sweet interior, whereas I'll use a really extreme opposite, someone like Bill Cosby, who
that's definitely an extreme.
Yeah. I could not picture you making an elixir and then raping someone. I cannot imagine.
I would make an elixir, but not to rape somebody. That's for me to get fucked up on, man. Are you kidding me? But I'll take the lean and the cup any day. But
you ever I don't trust somebody that's too nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a fucking asshole. I own it. I know it and I own it. You know? Like, I mean, I'm not an asshole without cause or reason majority of the time. At least that's what I like to tell myself. Sometimes I definitely have a tone issue, though. But yeah, I'm an asshole sometimes. You gotta be. The people who like, I like this analogy, right? Where it's like you're a pretty princess and two knights show up. Shrek portrayed this perfectly, right? You got the one in shiny, undented, perfect fucking armor, and then you got the one who's all burnt up, crusted up, banged up. It's like, who you really want to trust here? I'm going to go with the banged up, dirty motherfucker because he clearly worked to get here.
Yeah.
I think the other guy just followed it behind,
Been through something.
Yeah.
There's something to be said. There's a trust, and I don't want to call it a trauma bond because that sounds a little more negative.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's not a good way to describe it.
And it's also like trauma bonding. It's also like when you go through that with that person, like at that time. Like if you share something like that, I think that's different. It's like, oh yeah, we share similar traumas, similar negative experiences in life. As long as we didn't do it together.
Yeah, that's a little different. But you exude an authenticity that I appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I trusted it pretty quickly, which is to go, that's what it was. It's going to come back full circle, baby.
Always does.
The hatred of white people just inherently because they're white. I have been grappling with that.
I mean, it's definitely become a trend.
Yeah.
And it's one that I can't necessarily agree with. Like, for example, right? Like my family, as far as I know, came out here well after slavery. So it's like if somebody tries to use like white guilt or cracker or anything like that, I mean, it's like literally, historically speaking, when it comes to my family, kind of inaccurate. Like I can't own that. I can't.
Right.
It's like, shit.
Yeah.
I'm not a Bush. I haven't been here forever.
Right.
But like, I mean, it's also weird because it just reminds me of like the sins of the father kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like progression has happened. Like white people as a whole, sure, in certain areas, are as bad as they always have been. But there's also a lot of progress, and I think it's also just ignorant to boil it down to just a race thing. Humans have made extreme progress. We're the most peaceful we've ever been.
Yeah.
We've solved a lot of it. Don't get me wrong. The world still needs a lot of fucking improvement. But historically speaking, if you look at everything, we're better than we've ever been. Ever. Historically speaking. I mean, we make Pompeii look like shit.
Yeah, I get you. I think it's coming from trauma. it's going back to that whole I can't trust somebody that's being too nice thing, where awful things would happen to me, and then people would say like, get over it, or I'm making stuff up, or I'm exaggerating, or whatever. And so when coming out here, it was like it was my, okay, I know how to put it into words. You seem like someone who has some intuition, some gut, where when you're walking around at night and you feel like, I should take my headphones off. Yeah. I don't know why.
But yeah.
That got thrown off for me because I was told for so long that I was the one causing all the problems, or I'm the one, another example, I dated this girl, she was white, her dad, white, obviously. And Karens, before they were Karens, were fucking with me.
Yeah.
And I vented to him. And I was like, they're messing with me, they're calling the cops on me, they're kicking me out of stores. And he said, well, Aaron, it's your responsibility to make people comfortable.
Oh, what the fuck?
Right. But that's what I grew up in.
Yeah.
So when I meet white people, there's an immediate, like, I don't know what, I'm immediately on edge because of my own personal experiences.
And that I 1000% get. And that's what I mean by, like, certain groups in certain areas, they've been as bad as they've always been.
Yeah.
You know? And there's also that fucking, I mean, so many fucking white people, myself included. I grew up in the suburbs. It wasn't my parents did not teach me any of that shit. That's just something you learn from media and shitty friends at school. And you know, like I have a family member who younger. I asked him. I was like, "Oh, so are you still friends with your like old group?" And he was like, "Nah, man, I had to cut them off. Like, it turns out they were all a bunch of racist, like cringe lords. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people just don't know." Unfortunately, until you grow up, you learn a little bit more empathy, you get a little bit more exposure, you see a little bit more of the world. You know, white culture is an ignorant fucking culture, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that statement.
Except unless you're in it, I guess. But
I mean, I'm white. I'm saying it's fucking stupid.
But it was, dude. It was. This is gonna make me sound very sensitive, which I am. It hurt my feelings when I learned post-Trump and learning about the people I grew up around. Like, I slept over your house and I ate your food, and there's something intimate about that. Like I said, you were my friend, and now you would go to the people I grew up with. I find out later, like, oh, you would go to a protest that is counter to my life mattering. Yeah. And that is, it's just something I'm still dealing with. I'm still trying to navigate.
How can I call you my friend?
Right.
When you are literally going out and doing that. Yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, that from my perspective, that would be like me having a friend and them going off to a Nazi rally. I'd be like, okay, wait a minute. Hold the fucking phone, dude. Yeah. What?
And to even connect it a little more, someone like Kanye frustrates me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, do I even need to explain? Right? Where I'm like I struggle because on one hand, like you're saying, like we are better than we ever have been. I understand, especially on a historical, logistical level, where you're coming from with your family. Like your family has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, but that's not to say that we're not
connected. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Which we are. 100%.
And then I see Kanye, and I'm like, you're targeting the wrong what are you doing?
I mean, dude, I'm not shocked. Same guy that wore a White Lives Matter shirt that said slavery was a choice. Right. I mean, I don't know.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. He's been a lot.
To get
real quick though, the best slapback I saw, I don't know if it was real. Just gotta say that, but I saw that George Bush tweeted was like Kanye does not care about black people, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god. Fuck George Bush, but that was great. That was great, and I'm kind of glad that he got that. I'm just a little glad that he got that.
He deserved that one. He got
that one was funny as fuck.
Can I speak on actually? So you were okay. So you're not a comic.
No,
you've never done stand-up comedy.
I've tried a few times. Like I've done a few shows. I've done like My Buddies. Yeah. Dario's great. Love that guy. I've done Red Lobster a handful of times too. But that's just at that time, especially, it was a fuck around show. So,
but having you on here, I have you on here because the kind of the concept of this podcast was to show people what comedians are like not on stage, and to I'm sure you've picked up on the vibe of it. It's a little more.
It's chill.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And you're kind of comedy adjacent, and you have a perspective on it that not many people have, which is you're surrounded by it.
Yeah, all the time.
But you don't do it. What is it? This is too vague of a question, and I'll find a way to whittle it down. But for right now, what is it like being surrounded by comedians? Because that's a vibe that people don't understand.
I mean, I like to put it like this. I don't have any children, and I'm only 30 years old. But when I finally have a 35-year-old child, I'll know how to take care of them.
Do you feel like we're all just children running around?
No, but some comics more than others for sure. But there's definitely, I mean, it's a fun vibe. I don't think anyone would ever say otherwise. But it's also a chaotic one sometimes too. You know, like there's a lot of perfectionism, narcissism in the comedian scene, and sometimes those personalities can just be a bit much.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you seen any wild shit in the green room that
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I've seen so much weird shit, dude.
without incriminating yourself? Is there anything in particular that comes to mind?
Are we talking specifically with just comedians or?
Ooh, let's make it broad. Let's do audience, comedians, manager. No, I mean, not man. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, I'm not talking about anybody specifically.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
names and vague whatevers. But it's like I've caught people fucking in the stairwell, in the kitchen,
On the way
on
up?
the balcony. Oh yeah, on the way up. Like I literally had to lean my head and be like, "No fucking in the stairwell." Like,
I have to clarify because I hope I'm picturing the wrong thing. The stairwell on the way up to
the second floor.
comedians?
Nah, that was two customers. That was two customers.
Okay, drunk. I hope.
I don't know.
Okay.
Horny.
Okay, clearly.
Horny.
The stairwell in the back. I can see that.
That'd be gnarly. That'd be gnarly.
It wouldn't be comfortable.
I wouldn't. I would feel gross about myself. The person I was with.
Those indents.
I'm not looking at them ever again. I'm not looking at myself in the mirror for a few weeks.
Do you think you're drawn to comics because of the chaos?
A little bit. I mean, a little bit of chaos is always fun, but I've also always been a fan of comedy. I mean, when I was a kid, like I grew up watching Shorties. That was my shit. It was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Bring that shit back, Comedy Central. I swear to God, please. But yeah, I've always been a fan of stand-up, and I had an opportunity to work at Laugh Factory. I was like, fuck yeah, why not? I interned for a bit, and then ended up getting the job doing kitchen and then sound. And here we are. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the world-famous Laugh Factory.
Did you have to practice that voice?
Nah, I've always had it. It's just, I never really needed or had an excuse to use it, so.
Yeah. Do you? I'm gonna go back to one of the more serious topics. Well, we're finding a flow, man.
Wishy fishy.
Yeah. You were talking about the whole getting called fag. I know that game.
Yeah, right. That was my nickname for a good part of high school.
You're heterosexual?
Yes, heterosexual. Yeah.
Why? I remember back. I remember back in the day that was like
Because I chose it.
No. That was a blanket term we would call each other. And then as time has gone on, I feel like it's a lot more. If you're saying it now, it's very, very pinpointed. Why do you think? Was it a question of your sexuality at the time?
I mean, like when I was younger, I went, I think I've kissed like 3 or 4 dudes in my life, and every single time I'm just like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And I, fuck Louis, but I think he said it great where he was just like, I've never seen a dick and been like, that needs to be in my mouth right now. You know what I mean? I've never had the compulsion thought, I've never,
Can I? Okay.
I can say, I can admit when a handsome man is handsome, I got no problem being like that, but.
You said something that I want to talk about. You said fuck Louis, but.
Yeah.
First off, to get a baseline here, your feelings of Louis C.K. right now?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was weird as shit. I don't know everything about everything, but I mean, from what I do know, yeah, he crossed one hell of a fucking boundary that's just straight up I mean, I'm not gonna call it straight up sexual assault because I don't know what you really like classify flashing and like jacking off as.
It's a line.
It's a form of sexual assault, but it's not like assault. You know what I mean?
He's not Harvey Weinstein.
I mean, they're kind of similar, but I mean, you know, you got this guy higher up, blah blah blah. You know, I can see how somebody would. Oh my God, my job might be on the line here. You know what I mean? I can see that mentality. You don't know what the fuck's going on. He's literally standing in the only door that's the only exit, and he's got his pants down and his dick out, and he's jacking off laughing. That would scare the ever-loving shit out of me. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was also kind of gross that Sarah Silverman was like defending his like actions too, in my opinion, being like, he's just a freak. He's just a freak. You know, sometimes we get naked and throw our clothes out the window and then run through our building naked and into the street and pick up our clothes and that's
Is that
weird.
a quote?
She said something along those lines. I don't know if that's verbatim.
Yeah.
But yeah, something along those lines. And I was just like, that's what? That's also weird and kind of illegal. What the fuck are you guys? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I get it. I'm a freaky guy myself, but I got limits.
Yeah.
You know?
We all have lines.
Yeah. I also understand, like, what you might do to somebody else psychologically. You don't know if there's kids out. They don't want to see that shit.
No.
If they do, then they got to go to therapy.
There's a lot of therapy that needs to be passed around in general. So I say that because recently when I did a little bit of shrooms and then I went to his show.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. Yeah,
and I made a misstep. I didn't take in consideration who would want to see him in a theater. So like, on one hand, I understand everything you're saying, and on the other hand, as a comic, I'm like, but he's so good at what he does. And on an artistic level, there's this thing in me that's like, I need to see this. And I took the mushrooms, and I couldn't. I assume taken mushrooms as he lights a joint.
Oh yeah, mushroom. We'll get on psychedelic talk later.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
But I took the mushrooms. I went there, and I went with Rachel, and the vibe of everyone around me, it felt heavy. It was like there. It was like, what is? There's something here that I don't like. I don't feel safe.
Reminded you of home.
Reminded me of home, and it reminded me of to add it on a bigger racial level. I've been talking to Rachel about this. I'm curious what your opinion will be. It reminded me of when I'm generally in white spaces, and it was uncomfortable. It was weird, and it made me contemplate, like, where's the line between you as an artist? Like, let's say Louis never got in trouble for what he got in trouble for. That his comedy, his style of comedy, still would attract that. And it's like,
always has.
Yeah, and it's like, well, where's the line? What is happening? What is happening where I know he's an intelligent guy. He's very thoughtful, it seems like, about what he's saying. He is, in terms of this craft, he's very good at it. How much of it is his responsibility in terms of his audience coming, who doesn't seem to understand, like, when he's making jokes about race, it's not, haha, black people. Whereas these people don't seem to click into that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was even a question. This is what my podcast is. But okay, let me see if I can make it come full circle again. God damn it. This is me. This is who I am, Chris. I hope you enjoy getting to know me. Jesus. It's okay. I know how to. Yeah, it's gonna come full circle again. I got this, baby. I got this.
I was gonna say, it's kind of related to like the whole Kanye thing. It's just the whole separation of art versus artist kind of argument. And when I was younger, I did believe in that. But it's like as the older I've gotten, the less I've separated myself from that kind of belief structure. You know, like
Why?
You can't, because all right. So like let's take Kanye for example.
Okay.
All right, because he's just a very popular example. Dude is preaching just straight up hate speech.
Yes.
You know, and he has a very large platform, and because of that, he has a lot of fans that he can now influence one way or another. So a lot of people deify their, favorite musicians and artists for better or for worse. And through deification comes, monkey see, monkey do. So, like, if you're doing this, I'm going to want to do it too. If you're hating the Jews, I'm going to hate the Jews. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not a far stretch. A lot of people do this shit, like... when I was younger, and I know this is problematic as fuck, but like I was a Death in June fan when I was younger, and
What's that?
So Death in June is this neo folk band, right? At least that's how they're labeled. They're very like Nazi neo folk band. Their lead singer, Boyd Rice, that dude is just extremely fucking problematic. And when I was younger, that was one of those bands I used to defend, where it's like, you got to separate the art from the artist, man. But as I've grown older, I was like, no, fuck them, man. There's like, dude, here's a quote from one of their songs: "Rose clouds of Holocaust, rose clouds of lies." One of their album covers, and I always bring this up when people try to defend them, and you guys can look this up for your own. It's called "Sundogs" by Death in June. Look that album cover up. It's a series of 4 Doberman heads in the shape of a swastika. So it's kind of hard to defend them. Oh no, they're not a Nazi band, when they have a literal fucking swastika as a album cover. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like there's certain bands, certain artists you just can't defend. You can't give them that platform. You can't give them that voice.
Now, okay,
I understand guilty pleasures, but it's like, look, if you literally can't live your life without listening to Kanye or whatever the fuck your problematic artist is, fine. Listen to it in your own goddamn time in your own goddamn headphones. Don't pay for it. Pirate it. Don't give them money. Don't go see them live. Don't support them. Don't buy their merch, and don't fucking wear it. I don't want to see it. That's for sure.
Okay. Now with that same logic in mind, I'll use, because Kanye is on a whole other level. He's not making art anymore. He is just saying it.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I'm just glad he's out of the fucking limelight right now.
That's a lot. Okay. So, but then to go back to separating the art from the artist.
Yeah.
Someone like Louis. Music. Now, when Louis makes the jokes he makes, and because comedy is a tricky one.
It is.
Comedy is a tricky one in this because there's a sense of irony built into what comedy is. And yet, the people that don't get that irony
see it quite literally.
Very
it's the same
literally.
People that read the Bible are like, yeah, 900-year-old man and talking snake and rib woman. Yeah,
right.
No, that's logical.
So with someone like Louis, let's again take out the assault stuff, just the art part of it.
Yes.
Do you feel like you'd be able to separate yourself, the art from the artist, in that situation, or do you feel like this is also an issue? Because what his art is doing, he is attracting a particular type of people, and those people are dumb.
That is honestly a good question, because it's like, are you really responsible for the audience that you attract? I'd say yes to an extent. If anything, it means that, if you aren't aware of it, to me, that's alarming. But if you are aware of it and you're not proactively taking a deep look at yourself, and then in my opinion, that means you condone it.
Okay.
And through condoning is damnation.
Okay, I have another element to this.
Okay,
I'm enjoying this. You used to like Death in June?
Yeah, Death in June's the name of the shitty band.
And then you came to a place, I don't know when, but you came to a place where you're like, yeah, this isn't...
Like 7-8 years ago, yeah.
Do you feel like, is there a line of, or is there a place where you feel like you can appreciate or accept someone's growth? So I'll continue to use... Let's not even use Louis. Let's use Kanye. Mm-hmm. Let's say 8 years from now, he looks back, he's taking his medication, and he says, yeah, wow, I can't believe I did all of that. Would you give him...
He would need to do a lot more than that.
Okay. What would he need to do for you?
Anybody would. You can't just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Words are cheap, man. Words are fucking cheap. Prove it. Shut the fuck up. Put your money where your mouth is. I don't want to hear you're sorry. I want to see that you're sorry. Make some donations. Go out into the charities that you made, or go out into the communities that you made their lives a living hell, and do some fucking work. Get to know them. I don't know, man. I think the best advice I ever got when it came to like black issues, for example, as a white man, the best advice I ever got when it comes to those is just sit down and shut up and listen. This isn't your argument. This isn't your discussion, but it is something you need to hear.
Why do you think we have a problem with that?
Because white people love to have their voice fucking overpower anyone else's.
I'll broaden this and include myself here. When the Me Too movement first started, I remember my knee jerk of like, whoa, I don't rape. And that was my first, I don't rape. And I my knee jerk was like, I didn't do anything. And then as time went on, I was like, it's real bad. As more friends came out to me, as I got more stories and I got more perspectives on it, I was like, I'm sure I'm doing something too. There's no way I'm not. There's no way I'm not.
Yeah.
And I did get to a place of like, let me also, when women talk about this stuff, I'm generally like, I'll shut the fuck, I'll listen.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not, I mean, it's like when it came to like abortion and stuff like that. Men, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. You don't have a voice when it comes to abortion issues. You really don't. It's not our bodies. Same with like birth control, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm going to be an asshole. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Do transgendered women have a right in that speech? Like, let's say we could make a law that only allows voting. Only women can vote on abortion. I would be like, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Do transgender women get that right in that context?
I mean, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
You know, I mean, but also at the same time, I can understand how a lot of people would like raise an eyebrow to it. But like my knee-jerk reaction is yes. I mean, they're women too, so
yeah, that's
like
fair.
they get to vote on that. I mean, you know, like just because they may not be able, and I mean, dude, who knows where science is and is going. So like I could be right now speaking from a place of total fucking ignorance, and I'm willing and always to eat crow. But you know, like just because they may or may not be able to biologically reproduce of normal means doesn't mean they're not privy to the same kind of rights and access, et cetera, et cetera. And again, where medical technology is going, it's only inevitable till that is a reality to where they can and will be, you know,
involved. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, they 100% would and should be involved in that kind of voting, in my opinion. Same with like transgender men with men issues.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing too, where it's like if it's a masculine issue, women sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I believe it goes every single way, as it should. Like you know, as long as it doesn't necessarily like impact any other group or peoples directly. You know what I mean? And then they don't need to be involved in that discussion, in my opinion. You can be an observer, but I don't think you need to be necessarily a participant.
I agree, I think.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It is. At the end of the day, it is just complicated.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I mean, I was also raised with the whole, like, speak when spoken to kind of mentality, and I think it is one of those kinds of mentalities you have to have when it comes to these kinds of talks and issues.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you can have your questions, but don't have your outbursts.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote you. You can have your questions, but don't have your outbursts.
Yeah.
That to me, but then it goes back to you having empathy. I don't know if your I wish your thought process was a little more broad within our country, because I think our country would be a lot better if more people had skulls tattooed on their body. but
I mean, as long as they're not Punisher skulls.
Yeah.
Which is ironic as hell. Ironic as hell.
Please,
oh my God.
Please go for it. It's crazy.
I'm a Punisher fan, and he kills cops. He kills them. He kills police. Like, if you have a Punisher tattoo and you are a cop, you are so fucking stupid. Like, I don't even know, like,
He's a terrorist. He's a
shit.
domestic terrorist, right?
Yeah, he's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
He kills people.
Yeah.
Like, including police officers. Like, for fuck's sakes.
It's I think, but this is where I've gotten with all of this. It's tough because I don't want to throw my hands up and say, fuck it, let's give up. But at the same time, I've come to this place as I get older where I'm like, I can't invest my energy into all of this. Because one, there's a new thing every single day. Someone gets shot. A school gets shot up. Fucking a hospital is supposed to not take money, but it does. George Santos. This reference I've just made is not going to mean shit in 2 weeks.
Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, everything is moving so fucking fast. Like,
do you think? Do you have? Are you optimistic in the future for the future?
yes and no.
Okay.
Like, do you know about like the Fermi paradox?
No.
So essentially, the Fermi
gonna make me
paradox
sad,
is
isn't it?
like. So it's an evolved theory now. This is an old theory. It's been evolved now into what's called the gravity alien theory, which is way more plausible in my opinion. But the Fermi paradox leads into it, though. So essentially, all intelligent life, there's this line in the sand, right? And this line means extinction. It is a mass extinction event, whether it's us that cause it, is we use up all our resources, we poison our planet, an asteroid comes, black hole swallows us. Whether it's in our control or outside of it, there's this line in the sand. And intelligent life has to get past this line. And if it does, you made it, baby. You might be, you're on your way to becoming interplanetary, intergalactic, and then who the fuck knows? You might become a stage 7 civilization. Who knows? But that goes into the whole gravity aliens and yada, yada, yada. But, long story short, just be blessed and grateful that we have not found any evidence of any form of alien life, because if we did, it would be too late for humanity, to become a stage 7 civilization. We would never achieve that,
Because they already did?
Yes. And but basically part of the whole gravity alien theory is the only reason that human life was able to evolve to the point of intelligence is because there is nothing out here at all. And that means somewhere else in a galaxy far, far away, there's somebody else just like us that thinks they're either very early or very late. And our hope is that we are very early. If we're early, we can make it. If we're late, we're fucked. And what I mean by early or late is the development of intelligent life in terms of the age, in reference to the age of, age of the universe.
What do you think happens when we die?
I have no fucking idea.
What
I
do
have
you want
no
to
idea.
happen when we die?
I don't know. Reincarnation's cool. I like the idea of a personalized heaven or like Shangri-La, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It would also be kind of cool if it was like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, where it's like you can either choose to be reincarnated or take off the fucking VR helmet, being reincarnated as a god. Or I see it as just taking off the helmet or choosing between New Game Plus. And it's, very modern interpretation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. But I mean, when you look at it, that's really what it boils down to. It's stupid. I love it.
So,
hey, they came up with that idea 600, either BC or AD. I forget which, but that was old.
So when you die, if given the opportunity, would you be reincarnated or would you take off the VR helmet?
Oh man. That's the cool thing about reincarnation is it doesn't follow time on chronological order, like how we see it. You could be reborn in any time period. So I don't know. Okay. Fuck, man. I don't know. I think that's one of those things where you make that decision when you're in it.
That's fair.
I'd have to take a look at all the couples in the middle of copulation and see the future I could have with them and the lives that I could impact and change and how greatly.
Before I ask you my last question, we didn't get to talk to psychedelics.
Oh yeah.
What's your experience with them?
Oh God, I've done all, not all, but I've done
Let's do shrooms,
acid,
ayahuasca.
I have not gotten ayahuasca, but I've smoked plenty of DMT. I want to do ayahuasca, but I want to do it properly, and I don't necessarily want to go to the Amazon and do all that shit. I have my views on that. I think it's a little weird, but and I mean that in exploitative way, not weird as in why are you doing that? But yeah, I'd love to do ayahuasca. I've done STP.
What's STP?
A bunch of research chemicals. STP is a very rare, as far as I know, very rare psychedelic from the 60s. It was either discovered before or after lysergic acid, but I forget. But that shit is nasty tasting, but probably one of the best trips I've had. It was extremely visual. The body high was super pleasant. I've done Morning Glory Seeds, Hawaiian Baby Rosa.
I feel like you're making shit up right now. This doesn't sound real.
Yeah, no. So Morning Glory Seeds, they contain a drug called LSA. So it's basically LSD. It's pretty much. I mean, it's a little bit off, but it's natural acid. So the Morning Glory seeds, you just eat a metric fuck ton of those. The Hawaiian Baby Rosa, they have a cyanide shell. So you gotta soak them in water for like 24, 48 hours, and then scrape the shells off of them, and then you can ingest them safely. I've also done peyote, San Pedro cactus. Let's see, what else have I done? I want to do the sponge DMT. There's a form of DMT that only exists in this very rare sea sponge. I want to get my hands on that sometime. It's supposed to be very mellow. I haven't tried toad venom yet. One of my friends has, but let's see what else.
Do you think you would be who you are today without all of those experiences?
Nah. But I will also say this: anyone that says that they have some like religious whatever, I call absolute shit. I'm sorry. I've I take like 10 tabs at a time on average, like when I do acid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've never had that experience. I'm not trying to discredit anyone else, but it might be a little something else at play.
There might be something else at play for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for me, mushrooms, I always, even with the Louis thing, didn't take a lot because I was concerned.
And also, I'm not saying picking up on energy and shit like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking to like the full blown like religious experiences. Or like you see the clown in the backseat of the car kind of shit. Like there's certain stories you hear that are just.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you my feelings and then tell me if you think I'm bullshit.
Will do.
Okay. So every time I've taken mushrooms, I would describe it as a spiritual experience to some degree.
Okay.
Even that Louis experience was spiritual to me in that it's helped me further understand me and myself. Every time I've taken mushrooms, I've always gotten closer and closer to a fuller understanding and comfort within myself.
Okay.
So I did that, and then I did the largest dose I've ever taken.
Which was?
It was. See, it's tough because mushrooms isn't regulated by anything.
You weigh it, but yeah.
I took about 4 grams.
Okay.
And I was with Rachel, and I spent what felt like 3 weeks, but I think was about 30 minutes.
Were you staring at the fan?
I was outside cackling. She was watching me. I was walking up and down the street just laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
And to summarize the experience post the Louis experience and the experience here, it was like, I'm more comfortable in myself than I've ever been. Like you meeting me a year ago versus now, you're talking to an even more fuller version of me.
You see, but real quick, I want to classify any of what I just heard under like spiritual experience.
Sure.
From not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What you're talking about is the normal stuff.
Okay.
Like emotional depth, more empathy. Mm-hmm. You gain some more introspective bullshit. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to feel. Like on a good one. Like I also trip for fun. I don't need to break out the incense and like have a good Namyo Horenge Kyo or some bullshit. Stay away from that form of Buddhism. They're a fucking cult.
So mine isn't bullshit. Mine is
no, yours is not bullshit. I'm talking about the people that are like, I got down on my knees and I saw the rays from light. You know what I mean? Like the people that just go way too deep into it and like claim to see shit that there's just no way that you saw that. You see patterns and colors and shapes. Oh my! You're not seeing lions and tigers, or the clown in the back seat. You're not seeing any of that shit.
I want
it
to hear
doesn't
this
exist
clown
unless
in
you're
the back
schizophrenic.
Yeah,
like that's a different. That's where I'm like,
right.
there might be. You shouldn't do it if you have those. If you legitimately have those experiences, that means you do not do psychedelics. There's certain drugs and activities that certain people just should not do.
That's fair.
Sometimes you may not know it until you do it, but
we all have to learn somehow.
Exactly.
All right, you ready for the last thing?
Sure.
Okay. Can you, for this response, can you look in the camera for it? I'm trying to find cool ways to end the podcast, and this is one way I keep coming to.
All right.
And if this was going out to the world, if it was broadcast to the world and everyone had to listen to you, and it was about punk rock, And
Okay.
you could clarify any misunderstandings. You could make people understand something about punk rock. You could make 5 albums they required to listen to. If you could speak on punk rock, what would you say?
Oh man,
I like this.
fuck.
His contemplation face is sexy. I see why you like this guy.
Man, honestly, I would just say that people need to get more back into like the DIY aspects of the punk community and more into making it a community again instead of a popularity contest. This is supposed to be a thing where we uplift one another. We're a crew of weirdos, misfits, and outcasts. We belong together with each other. Stop putting each other down and bring each other up. Gatekeeping can be good and it can be bad. Like, if somebody shows genuine interest, take them under a wing. If somebody is clearly just doing it as a trend, I mean, it is what it is, but try not to get too bent out of shape. And that's a note for myself.
I think that's perfect. Thank you. And let's take this picture.
Yeah, let's do it.